Nothing like sitting around on a Saturday morning talking about diesel stuff. What the hell is that? Is that a hornet's nest? Oh well. Good morning. Welcome back to the channel. It's another beautiful Arizona morning. Just kicking back out here, having some coffee. And thought I'd show you guys what's involved in taking some fluid samples on my diesel pusher. And then at the end, we'll go over the results. So a lot of people don't even know these services exist or if they're even necessary. But it's a real cost-effective way of finding out what's going on inside your motor. And gives you an idea if you have any problems developing, or if you can just go longer between oil changes. I started doing an oil test when I first bought my Duramax about 13 years ago. And I have Blackstone Labs do it. About every other oil change or so, maybe every 2 years. Gives me a good idea though if I have any fuel in my oil, water, head gasket leaking, anything like that. Gives me a little bit of peace of mind. So when we first bought our diesel pusher about 3 years ago, one of the first things I did was pull some fluid samples. Tested the transmission, the oil, the coolant, and everything came back really good except for the coolant. And it was pretty obvious the previous owner didn't maintain that system. Yeah, it was seriously neglected. So long story short, the radiator sprung a leak like as soon as we got it home. So I ended up replacing the radiator, coolant hoses, coolant pipes, thermostat, everything. Flushed it with the Cummins acid flush, probably 40-50 gallons of distilled water. So it looks a lot better now. But this is the first time I pulled a fluid sample since all that work. So we'll see what this analysis says. We'll see if it even improved and give me a good idea. So there's different places you can get these tests done. I use Empire Cat just because it's local. You just get them at the parts counter, and they're only like 25 bucks a test. And that includes the test kit, the testing itself at the lab, and the results. They just email those to you. But there's two different kinds of tests. There's your oil or fluid, and then the coolant. So those are the two basic tests. There's also a fuel test they told me about, but they said it's pretty pricey. So I didn't go with that one. I'm not really having any fuel problems right now. So there's a couple different ways you can take these samples. Obviously you want your motor warmed up, take it for a drive or something like that. And then in like my last video, when I changed the oil, I just grabbed the oil sample right there. Also while I was under there, I grabbed a coolant sample. My coach has a little petcock valve. It's right next to the oil filter. So now all that's left to get is a transmission sample, and I'm gonna get that from inside the coach. So enough chit-chatting, let's get rocking. All right, so I'm inside the coach. I'm gonna get the transmission sample. So you can get this little pump at Empire. This thing's pretty cool. You just attach your 1/4-inch line that they give you. I got it stuck down in the transmission fluid fill port here on top of the engine. Hook it up into that port, and you just give this a couple pumps, and it sucks that fluid right out of there. Fills up your sample bottle. So here's a closer look at that little pump. So all the kits, they'll come with a little coil of 1/4-inch line. So you stick one end of this down into your tank or fill tube or whatever. And then the other end just goes right down in there, and you tighten this down to hold it in there. Screw your empty sample bottle on right there. Give it a couple pumps. It draws the fluid up and right into your sample bottle. And to break the vacuum, just pull that like that. So the pump never gets contaminated. Everything stays in the 1/4-inch line. Pretty slick. So they carry these down there at Empire too, at the parts counter. Kind of pricey. I think they're like 60 or 80 bucks, but really handy if you're pulling your sample from a fill tube or a tank or something like that. All right, so I got my samples ready to go. So all the kits come with these little baggies. You just put this sample bottle inside there, along with this paperwork. Just fill this out, make, model, hours, how many miles are on the fluid and all that stuff, your contact info. There's the separate one for the coolant. And then you just drop this off at Empire, either at the parts counter, or I think most of the locations have a drop box. At least the one in Mesa does. That's where I'm taking these. Okay, so I'm gonna get these bagged up, get the paperwork filled out, drop these off tomorrow. In about 2-3 days, we should get the results back, and hopefully it's all good news. Okay, so I got the results here. It's a few days later. This is what it looks like when they get emailed to you. So this is the engine. I got the old one here on the left. This is for May 2023. Let me zoom in a little bit here. So as you can see, no action required. My oil's always been pretty good. So here's the new one right here, the current one. Same thing, no action. The main things that I look at are going to be like water, antifreeze, fuel. Make sure that's a no. Don't have any of that in the oil. So here's the current one. Zoom in. So everything looks good. I don't know how to read all these other numbers and stuff. I'm not sure what that's all about. But so when you get down to the bottom, there's some graphs. My first one, so it's a baseline. And then if you look here, my second one, there's already a little bit of history. I'm not real sure how to read this, but just like going to the doctor, guys, establish a baseline first, and then each time you go, they can tell what's different or if anything's changing. So oil looks good. Oil came back good. I didn't have really any concern with it though. Alright, so moving on to the transmission. So as you can see here, my first sample 2 years ago had some issues. The only thing was, it says particle count elevated. Just exceeds recommended cleanliness level, but no water, no antifreeze. Here's the latest one. Looks like it cleaned up pretty good. No problems presently associated. So that's good news. Slide it over. No water, no antifreeze. No debris. And there's those charts again. So pretty happy with the transmission analysis. Okay, so here we are at the coolant. As you can see, you zoom in on that. The first test was pretty bad. Had a lot of foam in there. pH was off. Dissolved solids. It was in bad shape. So really the main things I pay attention to on these coolant tests pH, so that was way off on the first one. There was no oil in there, but an excess amount of foam. And then down here's those graphs. It's just showing your glycol percentage, pH again, corrosion inhibitors. But here's the newest one here, and I'm pretty happy with this. No actions required. Let me zoom in. Tests appear within range. Continue to use this coolant. Very good. Over here, there's the pH. It dropped. Now we're down to 8.2. I changed the type of fluid that was in there, so you can see the color change right here. Now it's orange. But all this is normal. Normal, no oil. Normal, none. That's good. And there's the graphs. Everything's trending downwards, which I guess is a good thing. Glad I did this test. But like I said, you got to do this to establish a baseline first, and then do them every so often, every year, whatever, so you can kind of see what's going on in there. So that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you guys found this useful. Like, subscribe if you want, and see you on the next one.